So, a time is coming where spanking and screaming at our children is going to be one of the rarest things on the planet. It's going to be something that you rarely see and something that you rarely hear about. Evidence of that being what's happening collectively is that there are a lot of us on the planet who were spanked, screamed at, and were taught that that's what you're supposed to do with your child. But for some reason, there was a desire or an inspiration in a lot of us from different places all around the planet to really make it a point ourselves to no longer practice that. Now, for many generations, that has been normal, right? I mean, look at society now. Domestic violence between a woman and a wife or partners, there are laws against it, but there's just no law that says that we cannot beat or hit our children. It's just been common for so long. So there's coming a time on this planet where hearing about spanking and screaming or even witnessing it is going to be extremely rare. Evidence of that being where the collective is headed, and actually here now, but evidence of where the collective is headed is that for many of us around the planet, we have no freaking clue at all what happened within us that made it to where spanking and screaming was just not something that we wanted to do. Like a deep, deep knowing that spanking and screaming, it wasn't about right and wrong. It wasn't about any of that. There was just this deep knowing for many of us around the planet that that is just not the way to go. Even though a large portion of us were raised that way and we're told that that's what you do as a parent, that to be a parent, you're going to have to use the rod. You're going to have to spank and scream. But something just woke up in a lot of us that said no, like there has to be another way to be able to parent efficiently, productively, to guide our children without screaming or spanking them. Even when at times it may seem like it might be the easier option. But that's just what's happening. There is coming a time where spanking and screaming is just going to no longer be, if you're watching this video and you're at this particular point of the video still, there's coming a time when spanking and screaming is just going to be not a thing. You just don't hear about it because we are collectively leveling up in our ability to process and hold space for our emotions and to no longer project our stuff onto other people, including our children. And so our children, the next generation, is learning how to do that very well too because of what they're witnessing us practice. Anywho, there are about 3 main reasons why we spank and scream our children still. And it's not because you are not a part of the magical and beautiful and miraculous unfolding that is occurring right now collectively. You are very much so a part of it, an asset even to the unfolding. But there are 3 core reasons that I'm going to share here as to why we still spank and scream at our children. 1, I spank or scream at my child because I am fighting what is unfolding right now. You spilt that and I told you not to do XYZ instead of accepting what just happened and therefore moving on with a solution-oriented perspective. In a peaceful way, I am fighting what just happened and it has already happened, but me fighting it is causing me to flip out. And if I'm not practicing holding space for my emotions, my flipping out means projecting. And if I do not have a practice in place to help me to redirect that energy or hold space for myself and self-regulate, then projecting for me may appear as spanking or screaming. Another reason, which is similar to the first, as to why we are still spanking and screaming at our children as a form of communication, is because we just don't trust the flow. We don't trust that my child doing what they did was part of the flow, that it was not bad, it was meant to happen, and we're just not focusing on trying to find the silver lining. There's always a beautiful way that we can perceive something to be happening. As parents, one of those ways is so that we can provide wisdom on the situation and create game plans with our kids as to what they can potentially do next time to prevent what happened the first time. If I'm not trusting that everything is unfolding as it's meant to and for my benefit and for my child's benefit, if I am seeing that what just happened is bad or wrong because I'm not trusting the flow of what's happening, trusting life, trusting the unfolding, And again, if I have no practice in place to help me self-regulate and process my own emotions in that moment, then I'm going to project or suppress. And if I'm projecting and spanking and screaming are habits of mine still, then those will be the ways in which that I channel that energy at that moment. The third reason that we still spank and scream at our children is because we don't have the habit of giving ourselves permission to say everything is okay. We don't have the habit in place yet of giving ourselves permission to believe that regardless of what just happened, everything is okay. So they all really boil down to acceptance, accepting what's happening in the moment and trusting that it's the best case scenario and making lemonade out of lemons. Getting in the practice of making lemonade out of lemons. Now, a lot of this stuff can sound very trivial, right? It's like, Michelle, they're just kids. It's going to be okay. We got ass whoopings when we were kids. No big deal, right? But it's a slippery slope. And once you start sliding down that slope, it looks like it's just spanking and screaming kids. Just like it looks like the person who has to drink a bottle of alcohol every night is just relaxing themselves, just releasing tension, just letting loose. Just like it looks like the person smoking a joint or having to smoke every single day is just relaxing, just releasing tension, no big deal. See, when we hit our children or scream at them, we release energy, we release tension. All that stress building up all day that we haven't been releasing consciously, it gets released in that moment that we hit our kids or scream at them. So it looks like I'm doing it because of what they did. But over time, it turns into just a habit, especially if we don't have any type of practice in place to release tension throughout the day. The person who drinks every single day to release or relax themselves, no biggie, right? Until they realize they've never put in place anything to help them release tension. Therefore, the only way they've kept releasing tension or relaxing themselves has been the alcohol, and they never stopped because they never replaced it with a different way to release tension. The same person who smokes all the time, the same person who hits their kid or screams all the time, right? It looks like it's nothing, right? But by the time you realize it's something, it's not that it's too late. It's never too late to create your life the way you want to and to switch up habits. But why wait until we're told that our liver is no longer working? Why wait until we're told that something's wrong with our lungs? Why wait until our children do not want to hang out with us or communicate with us because we don't really have a deep connection? Because for so many years, we've just been projecting our emotions onto them and haven't been practicing holding space for ourselves. So our children just do not want to be in our presence because it's actually wise not to want to be in our presence. It's actually intelligent to not put yourself around somebody who is going to continue to project their shit onto you, right? But why wait? If you have the desire to break the cycle of spanking or screaming, please remember, and I say this as a parent empowerment coach for the past 4 years, please remember that it is possible to break these cycles. It's no different than going to the gym. You go to the gym, you have a game plan, you have a routine, and you start to see results. Okay? You have the intention and you have the desire to no longer spank or scream at your child and to experience more peace in parenthood, and for parenthood to no longer be that one part of your life where you feel just overwhelmed and unable to process your emotions and hold space for yourself. If it's possible for parenthood to no longer be the one place where you feel you scream and all that other stuff, right? It's possible for parenthood to no longer be where there are energy leaks and when there's tons of guilt and shame because we're doing and saying things to our children that no longer resonate with our heart. We've been conditioned to believe that parenthood is supposed to be stressful and that our kids are supposed to get screamed at. We've been conditioned to believe that parenthood is the one place where hitting another person is not only a good thing, but you're doing a great job as a parent for making sure that you do the hard thing, which apparently is to hit your child, right? We've been conditioned to believe that when you have kids, like whatever dreams you had before, over. We've been conditioned to believe that when you have a teenager, it's supposed to be struggles, power struggles, and screaming and yelling, and that's normal. We've been conditioned to believe that that's normal. But look at all the other things in life that we've been conditioned to believe that we ended up finding out later wasn't really that beneficial for us, especially when it comes down to like our mental health, our physical health, or experiencing more peace and love. So parenthood is helping us to be more aware of what we've been conditioned to believe and giving us opportunities to leave that behind and follow our heart instead.